as I said, this is a government warning. Just if you bought something, HemoHim, don't take it. Stop taking it until they've done their full investigation. Okay, which is good. The government's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So now let's just see how valid this is. Okay, there was a news, the rthk.hk. So this is Hong Kong news. It's in English, and there was a news article on this HemoHim. It says HemoHim, and it's in two parts because I took a screenshot. But it says HemoHim, a liver damage threat, says Health Department, which is very scary. And so let's just see exactly what this actually means. So this is the bottom part of the news article. 4 women aged between 42 and 72 suffered acute liver damage after taking the product. Okay, so that's the headline. So let's actually read it. Department of Health on Monday warned the public not to take an oral product called HemoHim, saying it can cause liver damage. That's a pretty strong statement. The department says the hospital authority had notified it on Friday of suspected poisoning cases involving acute liver injury in 4 women aged between 42 and 72. All had reported tea-colored urine, jaundice, and vomiting between April. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. That's 7 months ago. So between April and September. So that's 6 months. So April, May, June, July, August, September. May, June, July, August, September. So that's actually 5 months. So this happened from April to September, and it is now November, which means it's actually at least a month and a half later. They were admitted to hospital and have since been discharged, which means they're all better. So none of them have died, and they've been discharged. So we're assuming that they're fine, or else why would they be discharged? The women said they had taken HemoHim thinking it would improve their health, with consumption ranging between about 2 weeks and 6 months. We have no idea how long each of these women actually took the HemoHim. Some took only 2 weeks, and that's only 4 women. Who knows how many took 2 weeks? Who knows how many took 6 months? So this is very sketchy. The department collected 2 samples from the patients, and the government laboratory on Monday confirmed the presence of methylsaline in all samples collected, which means 2 samples collected out of 4 women who had some liver issues. A Department of Health spokesman said methylsaline was considered a probable cause of liver injury. How do they know? Other common side effects include nausea, headache, dizziness, fatigue, depression, and skin reaction to sunlight. Methylsaline, derived from the plant Hemimagus, known commonly as bishop's weed or Queen Anne's lace, is a substance listed under the pharmacy and poison regulations. It can be used to treat diseases such as psoriasis and vitiligo. The department said it was investigating the source of the product and would take enforcement action when necessary. So let's take a look at this actual article. From 4 women in a course of 5 months, and they've taken it between 2 weeks to 6 months. We don't know how many took what. And they've actually concluded just from that 2 sample that it's a probable cause of liver injury. And the headline says, if we go back here, HemoHim, a liver damage threat, says Health Department. So they haven't actually even analyzed these products, and we don't know whether these women actually already had liver issues. We have no clue. So this, to ascertain that the HemoHim is a dangerous product from this article doesn't make any sense. And especially from 2 samples over the course of 5 months. In the meantime, how many hundreds and thousands of people have been using HemoHim during that period on a daily basis? And yet you have 4 women, and they've all complained of liver issues. They ended up in the hospital for whatever reason. We don't even know it was because of liver. They may have other issues. And they only took samples from 2 of them. Why only 2? Why didn't they take samples from all 4 of them? And because if they're unrelated, it's just this whole article doesn't make any logical sense. So now let's go back to, actually, let's see what Atomy's reply was. This is in Korean, which I've translated, and this is what they're, let me just delete this. Okay, so I can read it. All right, so this is the translation of the Korean reply that was given to Sungju when she, I guess, asked about what was happening in Hong Kong. Due to the recent issues related to HemoHim in Hong Kong and the concerns of many members regarding YouTube videos. So I was trying to find this YouTube video, but I couldn't find it. So maybe it's taken down already. In Korea, we will first inform you about the position of headquarters and manufacturers. So this is their official position. We express serious concern about the unilateral report of the incident, meaning without any consultation with Atomy, any actual real investigation, they already concluded that it was dangerous and harmful, especially to the liver. Unilateral means one-sided report of the incident related to HemoHim published in the Hong Kong Hygiene Forum without figuring out the authenticity of its stability. It's a translation issue, but without actually authenticating the source of the information. We and our manufacturers are conducting scientific and thorough verification procedures for this case, and we'll work closely with relevant agencies to actively respond to this case. In addition, the methylsaline ingredient can be detected in a variety of natural products. Please check the details of the attached in detail. Here are some instructions on videos about HemoHim. The video is maliciously edited. Now, that's interesting. I haven't seen the video, so I can't comment, but the Atomy official comment is that it's been edited and disseminated in a video that can never be used to reuse products past its expiration limit. I'm not quite sure what that means. It's probably a translation issue. For this matter, the manufacturer, Korea B&H, is currently preparing a strong legal response to the parties who disseminated this video, meaning they're going to basically sue whoever put out that video, which was heavily edited to obviously make it look worse. We will guide you in detail depending on your progress. There's a lot of concern in the field with unexpected external issues. At Atomy headquarters, we will do our best to respond actively to any situation that will not inconvenience you. Okay, so I want to go through all of this information first, and then we're going to discuss it. So firstly, I looked up basically what methylsaline is. It's actually an isolation from the plant. So it's a chemical that's found in a plant, specifically a plant called bishop's weed. And in 1970, so in 1947, they isolated this in this particular weed. In 1970, they extracted a certain chemical form from a certain carrot family, carrots. Okay, so it's also in carrots. So who knows what other plants and foods have this particular compound. And an additional 32 species of the genus Paraculum were found to contain this particular type of methoxylin, or other what they call Piranha Coumarins. And we're going to discuss what that is. That is the active ingredient in this particular chemical. And so what is Piranha Coumarin? I mean, it's something new to me because I never had to know about it. But these are organic chemical compounds produced by a variety of plants. So it's actually quite common in plants. Most of the plant species found to contain this chemical belongs to a handful of plant families. And the families, generally these are most abundant plants that have flowered and in ripe seeds and fruits. So what does it do? All right, so Piranha Coumarins are lethal. Now, lethal means if you take a lot of it, synthetic substances, okay, that help to shield plants from pests. Meaning, for instance, a lot of plants have special toxins to keep away bugs, keep bugs from eating them. That's the way they survive. Okay, so this is just one of those categories. This comprises of, I'm not going to go into the atomic, the composition. The vast majority of these plants, species found to contain these belong to a handful of plants. Some fruits that contain this are also grapefruit, wheat grapefruit, pomelo, rich wheat, and Seville orange. So, which means these are quite common in certain edible fruits. So let's talk about the health benefits. There's benefits and obviously dangers. So the health benefits of this is it will actually diminish inflammation and prevent malignant growth from developing, which means it actually helps with cancer. And also, they also help, we're not going to go through that. It found a wide range of citrus. Okay, found in grapefruit have a few well-being's advanced properties that incorporate anti-inflammatory, hostile to malignant growth, anti-obesity, so helps weight loss and bone building impacts. So this is why grapefruit is actually quite beneficial. So grapefruit, magnificent wellspring of vitamin C, etc. So it's found in grapefruit. Dangers: some of these can be phototoxic, meaning that they're harmful when they contact human skin and exposed to light. Something like lime juice, for instance. If you get lime juice on, it can be quite detrimental, and it can cause burns if it's exposed to light. So that's why they use this particular chemical in people with vitiligo or psoriasis or skin conditions. And so let me just see. So the overview, where this particular chemical is found the most is in a weed called bishop's weed, which is a flowering plant. And the seeds are what has the most amount of this chemical. And it's actually, this weed has been used as a herb to treat asthma, chest pain, kidney stone, and skin disorders that cause the vitiligo. And that's what the pharmaceutical companies have done, is they've taken this product and they're using it specific for treating skin disorders. Okay, so they've taken that particular chemical out of the plants, and that's what they tend to do with almost every major finding. They found these chemicals in nature. A good example would be aspirin. Bayer company, aspirin. Aspirin is a drug, but aspirin came from the natural herb from white willow bark. Salicylic acid is the actual chemical compound that is found in white willow bark, which is from a tree, but the pharmaceutical companies found out why when the North American Indians, when they got hurt, they would chew on a white willow bark because it gave them pain relief. And so they figured out what compound it was, and then they extracted it from the willow bark. And what they did was, then they changed one or two molecules of the product so they can patent it, because they cannot patent white willow bark. They cannot patent salicylic acid in its natural form because it's found in nature. And that is how the drug companies make billions of dollars, using naturally occurring products, but then turning them into drugs by changing just one or two molecules so that it becomes a new substance and hundreds of times more toxic, but also hundreds of times more effective, but also gives you the toxic effects. And so now it can be a poison, because if you take too much of it, then it causes major issues. So same thing with this particular chemical that was found in bishop's weed. They've isolated it, and then now they turned it into a drug that they use for vitiligo and psoriasis and other skin conditions. Okay, so, and when they use the herbal form of the bishop's weed, which has this particular chemical in it, they use it for asthma, kidney stones, chest pains, anti-inflammatory effects. They're saying there's insufficient evidence for, but that's what they'll say of almost every herbal product. But you can't die from these, and because there isn't enough of it in that herb, and so it helps with mild conditions. So let's take a look at side effects. Really, there isn't any of the actual bishop's weed. When you take it by mouth, there's enough information to know the side effects, which is obviously there are no reports of anybody dying from it. But it might cause nausea, vomiting, and maybe a headache, especially, and some people might be allergic to it. So it's just like they're allergic to any other thing. Same thing with the skin. It may cause some skin to become extra sensitive to the sun. This might put you at risk of great skin cancer. But again, there's not enough data to say that. So this is actually methylsaline. This is a drug sold under the brand name oxyrenone, among others, is a medication used to treat psoriasis and eczema and vitiligo, and some cutaneous lymphomas in conjunction with exposing the skin to ultraviolet. So this particular product works when it's activated by ultraviolet radiation, meaning sunlight. So that's why you have to be careful with the sun if you're using this. So it's usually a topical medication. So I'm not going to get too far into the medical part, but now risks and side effects of the person taking the medication, not the herb, the medication. Patients with high blood pressure or history of liver problems are at risk for inflammation and irreparable damage to both liver and skin. The eyes must be protected from ultraviolet A radiation. Side effects include nausea, headache, dizziness, and in rare cases, insomnia. So side effects seems to be pretty basic stuff, but rare cases of liver problems at risk. But again, you have to actually be taking the medication itself, the drug. Okay, so that I just reviewed everything. Now we're going to actually have a discussion, and let's I'm going to stop the share. All right. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes. Okay. So what does this all mean? And how did this come about? I'm going to tell you the history of, as a natural healthcare professional for over 32 years. Now, I graduated in 1987, so it's been a long time. This is nothing new. The fact that this particular incident, which has really no basis in anything, that makes sense. Because if there was actually a poisoned batch of HemoHim, there'd be people, you would know immediately. Just like years ago when somebody put poison in Tylenol in the States, boom, yeah, it was in the news all over because a whole bunch of people were getting sick very quickly. 4 cases of people with liver issues that we don't know anything about their past history. And in a 5-month period to give this kind of weight tells us that there's something else happening here. Okay. It doesn't even make sense to just base it on 4 people. What about all the hundreds and thousands of people that would have used it in that 5-month period on a daily basis? How come they don't have any issues? Okay, so that it in itself says that there's absolutely no basis for the fear mongering that's happening. But one thing you need to remember is that in the 10, 11 years that HemoHim has been available to the general public, now all over the world, more than $1 billion worth, US dollars worth of HemoHim has been sold around the world. That means millions and millions and millions and millions of boxes of HemoHim has been sold. To have that kind of financial sales, okay? There's been zero reports of any kind of negative effects other than, those digestive issues. People may have some diarrhea, etc. Okay? So it's been pretty well established. And the fact that something like this has come about now is actually a good thing. What that's telling us is that HemoHim has now caught the attention of the pharmaceutical establishment. And they are now going to start trying to malign it and get it off the market. This is their history. This is what happens. I've used hundreds of products over my 30 plus years as a natural healthcare professional that worked amazingly well in helping people naturally get better. And these were natural herbal remedies, they were natural homeopathic remedies. As soon as a particular product works really well, too well, and people stop taking their pharmaceuticals, the anti-inflammatory, the drugs, the blood pressure medications, or the diabetic medications, and because they get such great results with the natural product, that means immediately the residual income from that person is gone. Because typically when somebody is on a particular medication, they are on it for life. They've been told they'll have to take it for life. Right? Correct? Somebody on blood pressure meds, they don't stop. They'll take it forever. Same with diabetic meds. They don't stop. So as soon as they get better with natural remedies and then they can wean off the medications, they do. And I've done that with hundreds and hundreds of patients over my career, thousands. And that means hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of medication not being sold. Just think about one person, if they stop a medication that they should have been taking for 20 more years, can you imagine how much money that they're not spending pharmaceutically? And so once a particular herbal remedy becomes mass known to a lot of people, what the pharmaceutical companies will do is they will buy out the manufacturer of that particular product, pay them lots of money, millions of dollars, then they will promptly close the company down so that the product will not be available. That's happened to me countless times where I cannot get a certain product because now it's not available. So that's the typical practice. The beauty of HemoHim is that it's not manufactured, it's not owned by a private corporation that can be bought. Okay? Almost every herb that I've used have been manufactured by a particular company, and their goal was to make money. Well, if they're paid 100 times more for their company than it's worth by a big multinational pharmaceutical company, they've made money. Here you go. And then done. That cannot happen with Atomy. Cannot happen with HemoHim. HemoHim will continue to be used by millions of people around the world and more because the goal of HemoHim was never to make money. The research, all of the initial research and continued research is patented by basically the Quai, which is a government facility of Korea. You cannot shut down a government institute. You can't buy a government institute, a research institute. Cary being the third largest research institute in the world. All right. So this is basically a way to hopefully curb the use of HemoHim because now it's becoming too big. So when you actually look at what causes issue, there is no issue because everything is coincidental. 4 people with liver issues. How many people have liver issues these days? Everyone, because they're so toxic, especially if they've been on a lot of medications, right? So this is the thing, is that most people never look into what's happened behind the scenes. And this happens with almost every natural product. Vitamin D, for instance, as a immune booster. It's one of the best ones, naturally, and it's cheap, very inexpensive. And you can't patent it. So no company can make money off it. All right. So that is the main reason this is happening. And they're testing it to see what kind of reaction they're getting. But you see, it's not going to work because all the research is there. But from, HemoHim is the most researched natural product in the world because of who developed it, because it was developed by nuclear scientists, specifically for their own people, and therefore, and not for profit. The only reason we have the privilege of using it is because the Korean government decided to release it because they wanted to help as many people as possible. And with CEO Park, who was greatly helped with his health with HemoHim. Again, his goal was not to make money. His goal was to help as many people as possible. And so from that alone, looking into actually where the story came from, there is no story. And so I can safely say this is going to happen and will continue to happen. But as long as you are aware of the motivation behind it, then we are safe to basically continue to promote HemoHim and more now, because it tells you that it is hurting the pharmaceutical industry. So this is a plant because you get no information, no background. There was no studies done. There's no response. There should be hundreds and hundreds of people getting sick, and etc. But there is none.